Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Michael Wolf, and today's conversation is with Kai Schaeffner and Andreas, Nicklas, the co-founders of Jaikara, a company that's using AI to help us better understand and predict taste and smell preferences. Many of you probably know Kai if you've come to our events. He is the former CEO of Thermomix North America and really was one of the guys to help usher in their digital recipe platform in America and worldwide. I know that talking to him, he's been very focused on how nutrition and technology and AI are all starting to interweave to create the future. And so that's really what his company is all about. And so I thought I'd catch up with him and his partner, Andreas, to talk about what they're building. Andreas is a longtime computer scientist and AI specialist, and they talk about how they've been building this platform, how they're doing it differently than kind of the US-based LLM foundation model approach, really focused on bringing in high quality data through medical and consumer studies. And so that's really what we talk about and, where they see this all going. A little different conversation what we usually have here. It's very much focused on building a new AI platform and a new technology platform for the future around taste and smell and health. And so I hope you enjoy it. I know I did. Kai will be joining me in Berlin at IFA. I mentioned this before. We will be running a new smart living form panel track at IFA, the biggest technology show in Europe. So if you're going to be there in September, come and meet me, as well as maybe talk to Kai as well. So, all right, folks, let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Andreas and Kai. Well, I'm excited to be here with Andreas, Nicklas, and Kai Schaeffner, who are building a new company that is using AI to help better predict and to create profiles around taste and smell for people. How you guys doing?
Really fine. Thank you, Mike.
Very excited.
Kai, we've known each other for a long time. You've been at my events. People probably know of you from your time running Thermomix here in North America and really was the guy inventing in a lot of ways or kind of creating the Cook I Do platform. Andreas, we've just met, but I've been hearing a lot about what you've been working on. We're going to get into both your backgrounds a little bit very briefly so people have that context, and then we're going to jump to the company conversation. Kai, real quickly, you want to tell people what you've done in your career?
I think the most interesting steps in my career was working with Bang & Olufsen for 10 years on design consumer electronic products and finding out what people are using, how they are using it. And Bang & Olufsen had an edge with hidden buttons, so you only would see the buttons to use and those kind of Bauhaus ideas. And then I worked for a long time for Tangram International, which was my own one, that basically worked on AI-based systems to place stores, with bigger clients to figure out which are the best stores, how many you can place in a city. And then I spent, as you said, kind of 15 years working on the digital transformation of a wonderful product called Thermomix that had a lot of buttons to use into a digital display that added basically guided cooking. So you could cook flawlessly, making no mistakes, download out of many thousands of recipes you want, and could take basically the whole idea with you on an app when you were shopping because you never have your recipes with you. And you might want to take the biggest deal in the day and finding out what I can cook with it when you see a nice piece of meat, for example. Yeah, since the last 5 years, I'm basically working in the same area. I work a lot with you, food tech. I'm in the market entry part, so I help people launching their products in the United States. That provides a lot of fun. And then I work with Andreas, and he will tell a little bit about the story, what brought us together in taste and smell. That is, I think, the most exciting thing. We are just working together the last 2-3 years.
And I think our listeners for sure know of Thermomix. It's been one of the key companies we've written about at the Spoon and have been at the Smarketer Summit. Andreas, Kai did a good job at least describing where he's come from. We did a bit of a pre-conversation. You have primarily an engineering background, and you've been working on a lot of AI projects. But if you can give the listeners a little bit of a quick tour of what you've been doing for a living.
Yeah, first of all, I'm located in Switzerland on Lake Zurich, and I have a Master of Science in Medical Computer Science with a focus on artificial intelligence, biocybernetic, and networks. And I mostly worked for American companies here in Europe. And I did some AI projects, for example, scanning food by using a smartphone and create a three-dimensional wireframe. Or I also did a project using artificial intelligence for the telehealth rehabilitation, difficult word for me in English, using motion sensors and IoT. And in addition, I did together with Kai a nutrition project using AI to identify taste and smell preferences in order to recommend recipes where we are knowing that they taste very well to the individual person. This is mostly my background. In my career, it happened around the year 2000. I worked on an artificial intelligence project to heal people having diabetes, or to protect people getting diabetes too. Mm. And this, of course, depends heavily on nutrition, so on the stuff you eat. And what I found out is that people do not accept healthy food if the food doesn't taste well. Yeah. And so based on that experience, I decided that the first step in order to motivate people to eat healthy food is that the food is tasting and smelling very well. And that was the time when Kai and myself met. He worked, as mentioned before, for Vorwerk and Thermomix. And as you know, Thermomix gives you a preparation guarantee, make you successful in cooking and preparing meals. And Kai, he also found out that the next logical step for Thermomix should be to provide a taste guarantee. So not just a preparation guarantee, but in addition, a taste guarantee. And this is how this project came together. So we implemented an application for Vorwerk, which is using an online assessment to find out your individual taste and smell preferences, and is creating your individual taste profile. And based on that taste profile, we are able to dig through the Thermomix recipe database in order to find the best tasting recipes for the Thermomix device.
I did want to ask you, you mentioned back in 2000 you were working on an AI project.
Yeah.
That seems like in the ancient history times. I know that over the past, past couple of decades, there's been the rise of algorithmic personalization, from, the Pandora and the Netflix taste algorithms, and by taste, I mean like what kind of taste you have around video entertainment. What were you working with back then in terms of the toolbox and AI? Because it seems like that was a much longer time ago.
Yes, you're so right. It was an ancient time. And in 2000, there were no LLMs. So AI was more or less something esoteric. And not so many people understood the power of AI. As you maybe know, we are using our own developed AI models. So we do not use LLMs for our applications simply because we started in ancient times. There were no LLMs available. So we gained experience in creating our own AI models.
You guys started to get to know each other, and it sounded like at the early days, this essentially spun out of like some work that was being done with Thermomix, because Kai, I think Andreas alluded to the fact that, you thought the next step for Thermomix was to build essentially a taste model. So at one point, did you kind of come up with this idea, like, hey, let's build this separately and kind of build our own taste and smell AI model?
We were on many of your events together where the tech basically at a certain time started just connecting appliances. And the big question was, okay, now I'm connecting all my appliances in the kitchen, and what's the value of it? And I think the industry still owes the answer. And at that time, connectivity is not really creating a wonderful, easy to understand value for the customer. It's a lot of work on both sides just to get connected. And then the question is, what is the value? At that time, I was thinking about what is really the future of the industry, the smart part that can help users. And it was very clear for me when I did the research for the market entry in the USA, that's taste. So when you look in the pyramid, as the winning podium of when you go to the United States, what is at the top? It's taste. The second one is convenience. And then the third one is health. So there is no way without taste to get to health. That was basically the conclusion. And that's what I shared with Andreas when he said, hey, Kai, I have this taste and smell profile individually. How can we apply that to recipes? So we had a talk, and we were sitting in the opera in Zurich for a quick meeting to learn each other. And I think we were 3-4 hours sitting there because we could not stop sharing the ideas. Wasn't it like that, Andreas?
Yeah, I think you described it perfectly, Kai. Also the priorities of taste, convenience, and health. And this maybe goes back to the roots of Jcara there in the health arena. And so what we do is we use cohort studies or patient studies from universities or from clinics to analyze this data and use it to train AI models. But before we train the AI models, we first use try to find the best models for the specific cohort studies. And so we found I was aware of a cohort study with thousands of patients where a university researched the taste and smell behavior of these patients. And so I discussed it with Kai during the meeting in Zurich and told him that we can use AI and AI models, train them by this cohort study about the taste and smell capabilities of humans. So we are able to provide knowledge to an AI system and then use it, for example, for you, Mike, to find out your individual taste and smell preferences by just asking 20 questions, not more. So it's very convenient. It's easy to use.
And, so this is essentially how you created the initial model by taking one cohort study, or did you use multiple cohort studies to feed and train the model?
4 different cohort studies.
And there's also recipe data, right? I think, did you say you ingested a bunch of, was it Thermomix digital recipes or?
Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff Kai did. So right. For that project, we are using the Cookie Do recipe database.
And so the company's called Jaicara, and the elevator pitch is essentially you're creating a predictive or some sort of AI model that consumers can answer some questions, and then you will essentially come up with a personalized food and taste profiles, a taste and smell profile. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Perfect, Mike.
And when you had that first meeting in the Uber line, did you guys say, hey, let's create this, or did this evolve and take some time to get to in terms of what you wanted to build?
I mean, the customization piece of it, to have individual profiles to work with, and as managers will go, how we can apply that. But this is extremely powerful because just think about this 5 inches before your mouth, because you consider 5 times if you like those food or not. And when you get over it and you like it, so Andreas and I started a meeting. He was talking about the diabetes, and I said, "Oh man, I mean, can you apply it to any kind of diseases and things?" And he said, "Yeah, it's not a problem." And I said, in changing ingredients, the bad ones you shouldn't eat. I have now heart issues. I need to choose carefully my food I'm eating, and I'm grateful if I can keep the taste, right? So you know what you shouldn't eat, and you know what you eat, but it might or might not taste well. Now, if we can do that in worldwide, whatever kind of situations this company interested in, to improve the taste of their food, and at a second level, even make food healthy for them, avoiding the bad parts and enjoying the good impact of the ingredients. This was so powerful that we need to get started.
And so you guys got about the business of building it. Talk a little bit about this, architecting it and building it. What did this? It took a few years, right? This was not something that you guys built overnight. So talk about the process. What was the major steps and kind of milestones in building out this platform?
Well, a major milestone is to clean and prepare the cohort and the patient data, because there are many cohort or patient studies done in the entire world in different medical areas, and not all of this data is well structured, is well prepared to be used by AI models. And for that reason, a lot of work need to be done to first prepare the data before you can use it for AI. And we did the same for the Taste and Smell project. And you also have to take in account that any health-related data has very tough data privacy regulations. And that's another reason why we never used, for example, LLMs, simply because of data privacy regulations. And once you have analyzed the data, we usually build some first AI models, based on the stuff we have available, to find out how strong the signal is in the cohort or the patient studies in the data. And once we are sure that for a specific intent, the signal in the data is strong enough, we then start to build AI models for the specific purpose of the project. And so, for example, for the Taste and Smell project, we not just built one AI model, we built an ensemble of 10 AI models for several reasons, to optimize the outcome and to increase the accuracy of the taste and smell prediction, especially for the Vorwerk project. And once the AI models are implemented, the third step is to build the application.
So the ultimate goal of this, I think, is to work with maybe food brands, maybe work with appliance brands, maybe work with health and nutrition providers. What is the goal for the platform, and who will be your customers?
Yeah, it's a magic cube. You can use that kind of technology for nearly any edge, and we can build those customized AIs. What Andreas also spent quite some time is ingredients harmonizations. Because, we also talked about doing that in the US, when you remember back, because the ingredients databases are in not a good shape, regardless in which country you're looking for. And having that right, we can also exchange ingredients just in any kind of way that is meaningful. So if you go to Open Table and book a restaurant, we could scan the menus. We could give hints to the cook what Michael likes to eat, what he should eat, but also what he shouldn't eat, right? And we can go through making recommendations in resort chains like Marriott, where you're checking in and spending $1,000 and more per night. You have to go through each of those restaurants and figuring out what you can and cannot eat, if you have allergies or any kind of diseases.
Diabetes,
we can scan that and offer that as service. And then, when you're checking in, you basically can be advised with your family where to eat, when to eat, what to eat. and there is no discussion needed, right? So there's a lot of this. We talked actually to some of the healthcare provider. They are more interested, in paying a subscription of our services compared to eating up, your lifetime bills for your diabetes. So there's a lot of angles for it, and we're just at the edge now as the AI is ready to explore certain pilots where we can go out, and finding investments that we can test, improve the power of the system.
If I were to look, 5 to 10 years in the future, I mean, we've been talking about this idea of essentially a personalized food profile at Smart Kitchen Summit for like a good part of the last decade, where you would go into a restaurant chain. There might be like they might have some sort of like digital food passport that they get from you. And then then they would create a personalized, I guess, menu for you. This sounds like what you essentially build, right? So is that, I mean, there's lots of complications with this idea, like there's privacy issues, et cetera, but I feel like this is a foundation of what that could be. Were you kind of thinking along those same lines?
Absolutely. I mean, you nailed it down perfectly, Mike. We also thought about a digital food passport, because if you know your taste and smell profile, and this is associated with, let's say, a restaurant chain, they automatically know the best dishes to recommend you while you go into that restaurant. And I mean, I like to mention one point in addition is our unique differentiator is that we are using real scientific data from cohort studies and patient study. Nobody else does that in order to identify taste and smell. And that's the reason why our technology in terms of accuracy is so much, much better than any other AI technology you can use. And but coming back to the food passport, a very famous chef here in Zurich, he is also, part of our group. And this is exactly his idea. If people come into his restaurant and he knows their digital taste and smell preferences, he can perfectly serve his customers or even create specific dishes for them. Especially when it comes to high-end restaurants and high-end cuisine.
There's certainly no shortage of, like, I guess what I would call testing kits. Like I have one from there's been a couple of them where you essentially they test your different biomarkers and then they actually recommend food for you. So are you guys actually going to be looking maybe at, hey, beyond just like asking questions, taking some diagnostics from consumers and getting what their biomarkers are to maybe add into the recommendation layer? Or is that something that's on the roadmap, or is that you guys haven't really thought about doing that?
I mean, a good AI-based recommendation system always is built on two pillars. The one pillar is the knowledge within the AI model, in our case, trained by cohort and patient studies. And the other is behavioral data. So how people, for example, using a Thermomix device to prepare dishes or recipes you're cooking in your daily life, any kind of behavioral data. And this is where you get the best results out of it. If you combine these two different data sources. And you also talked about a third source, which is individual data based on diagnosis. And when it comes to taste and smell, there are these smell and taste sticks, but they are not well suited to find out your taste and smell preferences. It's more about diagnose your taste and smell capabilities, which is something from a healthcare point of view, something very, very different. Of course, I mean, if you have very bad taste and smell capabilities, it's very tough for you, for example, differentiate different kind of taste and smell. But for the normal human, for the healthy human, it's not a problem.
But as you mentioned it, I mean, I'm sorry when I go on, but function health is one what I'm testing right now, where you get the best tests on all of your biomarkers, right? And they have an AI engine actually behind already that tells you which ingredients you should eat and not eat. And they're starting with recipes, but this would be optimal. And you look on any kind of fitness app, you go, when you look at Withings, starting with the weight, if you look from Apple Watch, Samsung, they all go in the direction of health. But how do you manage it? And when it's around food, at the very end, you need to start with taste if you like or not. Because you can look at your calories forever. That doesn't mean, that it helps you. And the whole knowledge sits there since 2000 years. And now with the new AI models, it's getting practically that you can use it for yourself and your own health. But the good addition we can have, it still tastes. And I think this is the most important one, at least what we figure out in our studies.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the top, Andreas said that like you realized back in that diabetes study in the early 2000s, no one's going to change their behavior around food unless they like the taste of what they're eating. And so like it is kind of it's like the unlock for so much of like the things that follow.
Mike, you also tested the diabetes part, no? You had a certain device at it, and you were checking on your insulin.
Oh yeah.
Did that change? Did it change your behavior?
My continuous glucose monitor that I got over the counter via Amazon completely changed my behavior. I notice I actually eat way better when I have it on versus when I don't, because I'm not constantly reminded of what my blood sugar is doing. Like I realize I need to pull one on soon because I've been eating poorly like the last couple of weeks. So, but I think it has a big impact on behavior. So.
Yeah. Coming back to a biomarker, I mean, the cohort study we used for the taste and smell application, we also have the genetic data of the people available, of part of the people available who participate in these 4 different cohort studies. And for example, one interesting thing we found out is that the genetic data does not help to predict your taste and smell preferences. I mean, there are some very interesting findings. So, for example, I don't know, is broccoli, is it the right wording?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
So, for example, some people like or doesn't like broccoli. It has to do with your ability if you like a bitter or non-bitter taste. And this is very much influenced, predicted by your genes. And in that sense, for example, genes also, sorry about my English, influence if you eat healthy food in your life or not. So, for example, most of the bitter vegetables are very healthy. And if you don't like bitter, you don't eat bitter vegetables. However, it's genes or the way how genes influence your taste and smell preference is not very accurate, because genes are changing over the lifetime of a human. And for example, when you were a young boy, Mike, I don't know, maybe you didn't like tomatoes or you maybe didn't like olives, which is very different what you like today. So the taste preferences, they change depending on your age. And for that reason, it's so important to do this kind of online assessments to really understand your taste and smell preferences.
Yeah, I feel like my taste has changed, both probably due to like adaptation of my overall biological makeup over time, but also I think as you're exposed to cultural influences in the world and you just grow up and become an adult, you just things. So
absolutely right.
So you might want to like revisit taking the test every few years. So you have this test that people take. Would they maybe need to take it every 10 years? Or are you just watching what their behavior profile is? Is it a feedback loop, understanding what they're doing, and then you see a trend towards them buying more bitter food or maybe buying certain types of food, and then you start to factor that in? Or does that ultimately depend on who's implementing your platform in whatever product they're building?
Well, I mean, what you're talking about is the main idea. So, for example, I can provide you 10 different recipes. All of them are tasting very well, but some of them are healthy and others are not. And by knowing some additional health data from you, I can then recommend you recipes tasting well and are being also fitting to your health conditions. So I think that's the great idea behind this project, to provide tasty food which fits to the health conditions of the specific person. And for that reason, taste and smell is just the first step in the entire journey. So, I mean, there are many ways how food can influence your health, blood pressure, diabetes, your everything in your body. It can also help the healing of some diseases. And this is where some of my experience is from, because I was responsible for a research foundation helping stroke patients to recover from their stroke. And this is where some of my ideas were also born.
You said that your product isn't built on top of a foundation model like an LLM, but I can imagine. I think what I see over time is multiple different types of AIs interacting with one another through maybe a unified interaction layer. So I could see maybe your model taking that whatever recommendations it makes being fed into like an LLM powered like general nutrition advisor. So are you kind of thinking of how this may be plugged into like a larger unified AI model as one component that provides a holistic, I guess, recommendation, maybe a nutrition advisory agent to consumers?
Yeah, I mean, data privacy is not the only reason why we decided for our self-developed proprietary AI models. There are several other reasons, because if you look at LLMs, they are built for a different purpose, and one of the weaknesses is hallucination.
Hallucinations. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
this is something you cannot accept in any kind of using health-related data for AI models. And some other reasons are behind our decision to not use LLMs.
it would be a module you could basically use when you go on expert level. We need to be responsible for our recommendations, and that's the point. We are working in a clear framework of proprietary data that it can guarantee you the results, and that can be used, but we can't basically broaden it up.
I mean, our goal is to give you the best prediction possible. And for that reason, we specialize the AI models for the different cohort and patient studies. So a cohort study done for cancer patients is very different to the study done for taste and smell, and it's very different to other healthcare studies. And we simply adapt for the different kind of studies, for the different kind of health areas. We adapt and develop the specific AI models to guarantee the best predictions.
Yeah.
That's mainly the idea behind it.
But coming back also to your questions, concerning how those relationship between user and Jaikara solution works. It is a journey where both sides keep on learning. And that's the beautiful piece of AI, because you will learn what's good for you in the reaction of the food you're eating and the impact you're understanding, the knowledge you increase. And each feedback you provide, AI can get better solutions over time. So I think we rather should think about a journey that, you have learnings on both sides to optimize over time.
So where are we in terms of the company journey? When can we expect to see this maybe have your first customer win, or are you already well on down that path of having a customer win? Talk about where we are.
Well, we had our first win in successfully implementing this solution for the Thermomix.
I mean, the readiness, the maturity of the system is basically proved in concepts. And we are now ready. So we are just going out beginning of June now to target the best companies we think it would work for. So we already started thinking about that. The McCormick's, we are in relation to Nestle. We're talking to the recipe databases. And we're starting basically now the journey this summer. And would like just to create awareness of the solutions, because it's hard to think, but I think when people are listening to your podcast, they might find, a couple of things we just said very interesting and approaching us.
And how can people find out more about what you're working on? Is there should they reach out to you? Should they go to your website?
I think the best is to reach out to Kai, for example, especially in the US. I mean, I think it's very different, studying such a company in Europe or in the US. I think it's much easier in the United States because AI is very much accepted. I mean, the gap between AI in the United States and here in Europe is huge. Especially the US is very, very open to innovation. And for that reason, I'm so happy to have Kai and that he is living in the States, because I think it's a much more innovation-friendly environment, and it's much easier in the US to bring such a solution or our competence to market as it is in Europe. Also, we are a very small company, so our differentiator is not the size of the company, but the skills and the competences we have, and the proof of concepts we did, especially in taste and smell and nutrition.
And again, the company is Jaikara. Looking forward to seeing how you guys grow. Any kind of final words, Kai?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much fun, and Andreas and I, we reached the stage where we would like to give back, and we have no bigger wish that everyone eats healthy and stuff that really, really tastes well.
Well, thank you guys for spending time with me today and tell me a little bit about what you're building. Well, that was it. That was my conversation with Andreas Nicklas and Kai Schaeffner. I hope you enjoyed it. Kai will be in Berlin with me for IFA in early September. If you want to see him in person, if you're in Europe, head on over. That's it for now. We'll actually have another podcast later this week, so stay tuned for that. So I have a couple coming out this week. Hope everyone's having a great summer. We'll talk to y'all soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, why not share it with a friend? And don't forget to give us a 5-star review. You'll find more content like this on thespoon.tech/podcast.